Pump? Can you hear her?
I can hear her. She wants you to update Discord and OBS.
I don't know what you want, sweetheart. Come here.
Food, rubs, attention.
She has food. She's got rubs. I think maybe she wants to play Chasey's, but...
No.
All right. You want to get this thing started?
Let's do it. Let us begin.
I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know what she wants, so... All right. Welcome to episode 15 of the Sandbox.Space weekly podcast. I'm your host, Chris, joined by Ross. How are you today, Ross?
Oh, Chris, how are we doing today?
Good. Obviously joined by Pumpkin. I don't know what she wants, but here we are. And then Baby's taking a little nap on the couch today. So, though I'm sure she will be making noise because once she realizes that I'm not coming back to the couch, she'll... It's a morning. It's a morning, man. We've got some fun guests in chat here. So first off, obviously we're doing an episode. I said last week we weren't because I was going to go to GDC. But through a confluence of just planning and then Baby had a belly issue for a little bit and then trying to get a flight, all just compounded into me saying, screw it. I'm just going to stay home and work on stuff that I need to work on. So it sounds like GDC is a good time, but here I am. I'm not going to worry about it. Maybe next year when I can properly plan and not do it at the last minute. Ross, how you doing today? Thank you for joining.
Doing well. Well, thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here. Always happy to dish some tea and share some tea, talking about the game industry and everything else that's going on. And this week, I think that's GDC. I think that's where everyone is, and that's where the people are. It seems to be.
Yeah, well, I wanted to start with GDC just simply because it's sort of a big deal from the industry's perspective. But outside of working in the industry, GDC is not really. There's nothing going on. Like, there's no big game news releases or anything like that. So for normal gamer folk, GDC just comes and goes. And I think for a lot of industry folk, GDC just kind of comes and goes. It seems like lately it's a great learning opportunity and a great networking opportunity. But I don't know, from a business perspective, does it still have the legs that it used to have in the before times?
The before times and the long, long ago. I like to think so. I think the value of GDC is always in those personal connections. You know, Chris, for years, you and I have talked about how important it is to establish those networks and build that intangible, business value and acumen, something that maybe you can't quantify in dollars and cents today, but maybe a relationship that leads to an introduction, that leads to an opportunity in 5 years or 10 years or 20 years, who knows? And I think that's what GDC is all about. Like any convention, it's about finding your people and sharing passions and talking about what you care about. So even if in a year like this year, maybe a trip to GDC doesn't yield 10 different job offers like maybe it did a couple years ago for the right folks, maybe it's more about just that validation of jumping back into some normal, seeing some people who share similar passions and just gabbing about whatever's going on.
Yeah. Well, we can gab here, can't we? Through the power of the internet, we can gab together. I agree. I am kind of, if San Francisco wasn't so expensive and it wasn't such a pain in the ass to get there right now, then I think I would be there. I need to dig up, like, I gotta find the secret space where it's just easy to get a room and stuff. Because I mean the hotel rooms are like minimum $250 a night, like minimum. And obviously you can get Airbnbs, but those aren't. It's just San Francisco's a pricey little monster. But all right, well, hopefully everybody at GDC is having a good time. I want to start out with something that's not necessarily game related at all, but is right up your alley. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. So this is from the Denver Gazette. Oh wow, that is not. Let me adjust this. That is not how you do a thing here. More. I don't know why it got all screwed up, but here we go. There we go. Much better. The bar exam will no longer be required to become a licensed attorney in Washington. This
Oh,
is the
you
Denver
just
Gazette.
triggered me a little bit, Chris. Every time I hear bar exam, my chest starts tightening
Yeah,
up.
this is by Annabella. I don't know how you Roscioloni. I'm not sure how you pronounce that last name, but the Washington Supreme Court approved multiple new avenues to become a licensed attorney in the state on Friday. None of which Pumpkin does not agree. None of which require taking the bar exam. The court approved new ways for law students to become licensed attorneys in the Evergreen State. One method is an apprenticeship program for law school graduates who can work under an attorney for 6 months, then submit a portfolio for review. The other option is to complete 12 credits of skill coursework. I don't know what that means, but 500 hours of hands on legal work prior to graduation and submit a portfolio for the Washington State Bar to review. What are your initial thoughts on this?
If only. I'm excited to see them try something new and different. From the time that I was coming up and going to law school and studying for my own bar exam, uh, it was a bleak time. Morale was low in the mid 2000s for lawyers, and by that I just mean more and more people were going to law school. It was getting more and more competitive, and state bar associations and bar examiners were responding by trying to minimize the number of lawyers. Law schools were raising tuition rates, they were being more exclusive with admissions, and then bar exam passage rates. Uh, they were always trying to make the bar exam more difficult to try and cull this sea of would-be attorneys out there. So it's a little bit disheartening to spend 3 years in law school and then and then discover what seems like a conspiracy to keep you from your profession. So I'm excited to see some alternate avenues to just a 3-day exam that might be more relevant for a particular practitioner's area of practice.
Yeah.
So something like an apprenticeship would be very relevant. If someone's practicing in an area that might not be on the bar exam, like for example, video game law. So that's exciting. I would be interested to see what happens next and how that if that gets some national attention or if that's only going to be a Colorado thing.
Yeah. So is it hard?
Is it hard? It's unpleasant. I think my gripe with the bar exam, which I think many other attorneys will share, is it's very much a game of guess what the practitioner's thinking. There are so many subject areas on the bar exam, and it would be hard enough to be an expert and have photographic memory of all of those statutes and all of those principles and all of that case law and precedents. But you're not exactly sure what's going to be on the bar exam. You know subjects, but you don't know what's going to be the particular subject of an essay exam or a particular focus. So there is a whole science to gaming the bar exam, to figuring out what's actually on there so that you can kind of direct your focus to those things. So
Yeah.
it's not pleasant. It's very much a game of guess what the barristers are thinking this
You
year.
said it's 3 days long?
It varies state to state, but for me it was several days. It was a day full of essays, a day full of multiple choice for the multi-state, and then at least one day of just coming back down to earth after that stress test.
Mm. Yeah, I have never taken the bar, obviously. I've definitely heard a common refrain amongst lawyer people is that it's almost so broad as to be kind of worthless in a way. That it checks your general knowledge on a lot of stuff, but it's like being a doctor, you're going to try to tend to go towards generally a certain path in your career, which means you're just not going to know anything about, nor should you be expected to know much about certain elements of, different specializations. I did take the LSATs. I took a practice LSATs, which to me strikes me as a completely nonsense exam. It's an exam. To be honest, I think all it's trying to do is check your ability to figure out logic problems. Like that's pretty much all it is, right? It has nothing to do with the law.
No, and they wouldn't. You're correct. I'm thinking back to my own LSAT now, and I remember a logic game section where there's lots of logic questions. I remember reading comprehension, writing comprehension, and some deal of scientific theory. So it's a little bit more focused version of an SAT or an ACT. But if I recall, how did they sell it to me? I
How
remember
do they
studying
sell
for
it to
that,
you?
and well, they have to contextualize it to make it make sense because any student looking at any kind of evaluation is like, why does this matter? And I remember asking that question, and I seem to recall the answer I was given was that this is helping you think like a lawyer. The idea of the LSAT is it's evaluating your critical thinking, your attention to detail, and just how long is your attention span. So can you read a very boring contract full of lots of minute details and arrive at the correct conclusion logically or contextually? So I don't know how much the LSAT prepared me for anything. I think it was just testing to see if my brain worked. So
Mhm.
whether my brain does work or not, here I am.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna ask
system
what the
works.
what was the result on that. Um,
Still here. Still have them fooled, Chris. Don't worry.
yeah, I think in some ways, I'm not against standardized testing. I know some people are just like and completely anti-standardized testing, and some people are like, well, some people just can't do tests, and they can. I was just like, I have found in my personal experience that the Venn diagram of people who cannot take tests but can still perform the job very well tends to be very small. And what I mean is, like, yes, there's obviously people who can perform their duties and aren't very good at taking tests. I get that. But the reality is, if you know your shit, you can take a test. You know, this idea that somehow taking a test, is just, well, it's super stressful. I was like, yeah, like being a lawyer or a doctor aren't.
Hmm.
Like I feel like if you know what the content is of the test, then you will be a good test taker. So I do find, again, maybe I'm being a little harsh. I'm sure there's some people who are just like terrible test takers, but I just think the key to anything in life is just knowing your shit. That's what it boils down to. Once you know
I
your
don't think
stuff,
you're wrong.
once you know your stuff, then a lot of that other the noise just goes away because the test just becomes okay. Well, let me just burn through this because I know all this stuff instead of getting all nervous about whatever. But I did take the MCATs twice, and I'm not sure how much of that. Obviously, I didn't go into being a doctor, but I'm not sure how much of that actually applies to medicine because it was just a lot of basic science, biology, physics kind of stuff. I probably took more stuff relevant to the practice of being a physician when I was in grad school for public health. So when I got my grad school degrees, that was a lot more applicable for day to day stuff. But yeah, I'm kind of curious. I'm kind of curious about this. Not is like, could I get a law? Could I become a lawyer without having to go to law school and without having to take the bar exam? You know, can I? Can
It
I
would
do?
be interesting to see, and it's not completely unprecedented. The formula we have for creating attorneys of attending undergrad, taking an LSAT, going to law school, passing the bar exam has not always been the case, and it's not universally the case in other countries. Abraham Lincoln famously did not go to law school and was self-taught. And the notion of an apprenticeship kind of used to be the way they did things historically,
Yeah.
because you're learning on the actual job. You're seeing what is actually done. So anytime that I take interns, or have law clerks at Loading Law, it's a very different kind of experience that they get from me than they get in law school, because there's always that academic answer of how to solve a problem, of what does the law say and what are the legal principles that affect our ship of state, and in theory, if justice should prevail, what are we going to do? And then there's always the practical business minded solution of, well, this is what the client wants and this is what the client's paying for and this is the outcome they want, so let's work towards that end, and here's the way we get that done, because we don't always have time to wax poetic and philosophically solve justice. It's kind of
What?
5 o'clock comes
Lawyers
at some
trying to
point.
be succinct? I don't believe it.
I know. Who knew? Who knew?
Yeah, I think we're all, at least anyone that's paying attention to politics, we're all getting a mini, uh, let's say, like an associate's degree's worth of knowledge based on all these lawsuits going on in the political world right now.
I was gonna say, doesn't when you showed me that article, I was scared. I was like, oh no, is TikTok giving out law degrees now?
Yeah,
Because that's what's coming next. But it's I agree. Everybody's kind of getting a crash course in American government politics and law lately, and I definitely had a day in my business class last week where we got to revisit some Schoolhouse Rock and talk about how a bill becomes a law. Uh,
It's
because
an
it's not
amendment to
something that
be.
comes up every day. That's right.
Well, I got two more questions about this.
Hmm.
I'm curious
Hmm.
about. So the first one is, in law school, did they ever teach you how to run a law practice, an actual business?
They did. I was very fortunate to go to a law school that was the quote unquote practice ready law school in Chicago. I went to UIC School of Law, formerly John Marshall Law School. And it was very much about some law schools have a focus on the, I
Law.
don't want to say pretentious, but I'll say pretentious, but I'll say that the more high-minded legal principles of what the law should be. And my law school was very practice oriented and was very much a, okay, here's how you actually do things. Here's how you actually write an order. Here's how you actually file a copyright or trademark, and here's how you hit the ground running. So we did have instruction on how to start a law practice, on how to cultivate clients, on how to make sure that you are following character and fitness protocols, and that was very relevant. Obviously for my law practice, because that was something I did, was I hung my shingle straight out of law school, and everything has gone well so far, knock on wood.
Yes, I hope it does. Yeah, that's one of the things that I had this conversation. This is where we're getting back into gaming, but I've had this conversation with many a professor in the game world, and similar to art school, similar. I was just talking to my dad about medicine. You never get taught the practical business aspects of it. You know, in art school, when I did that, it was all about the creation of art, the fundamentals of art, the history, the philosophy, but nothing about, well, how do you actually get into museum and gallery shows? How do you move from an amateur hobbyist to a professional? How do you run a business? None of that stuff. Same with medicine, and same with gaming. I think a lot of gaming programs are based on the design elements of game, and you don't really learn what it's like to start your own company or to be in a AAA studio or whatever. Which I'm sure my students, every day, then they come to class, they stare at me starry-eyed with just the amount of wisdom I'm imparting on them. I'm sure that's exactly what they're thinking. But having me as a professor, like, I specifically bring in content related to what's going on in the industry. So similar to these conversations that we have, I bring that in the class. And how do you run that as a studio compared to how you might interact with a AAA, like if you're a AAA employee.
Here.
Cool. Are you back? Can you hear me?
I'm back. I can hear you.
All right. Are you ready for the last question?
Let's do it.
All right. Are you the law?
Am I the law? I think I might be the law.
Awesome.
Why not?
I am the law. All right. Hey, pumps. We're back here. Okay, let's get down to business. I'm getting OBS notifications. That's great. Okay, next up, I'm very interested. This has popped up. I think we talked about this a little bit previously, but the PS5 Pro specs have leaked online. This is Wesley Yinpool from IGN. I saw a bunch of these floating around, and then IGN created an article where it says here, the specs first emerged via YouTube channel, Moore's Law is Dead. Before Insider Gaming came, they were real. IGN understands the leak specifications are real, so I guess that means they confirmed it when they. IGN says they understand that the leak specifications are real. I don't know what that means, but I assume that means it's a real thing, right? And emerged from Sony Interactive Entertainment's developer network. Sony has yet to comment. Of note, there are CPU changes. Though the CPU is going to be relatively identical, there is a high frequency mode, which is going to amount to like a 10% increase on the CPU, which is like nothing. So that's really interesting. The GPU, which is going to go to supposedly 33.5 teraflops. The standard PS5 offers 10.28 teraflops. However, it says here a direct PS5 to PS5 Pro comparison would work out at around 16 to 17 teraflops instead of the full 33. So that's kind of interesting. It's also said to have upscaling anti-aliasing solutions called PSSR, which is sounds like a PlayStation's version of something like DLSS or something. Custom machine learning technology, you got to have that. Everyone's got their custom market machine learning, and AI accelerator. Got to have your AI in there. Elsewhere, and I find this interesting, the PS5 Pro has a detachable disk drive and 1 terabyte of storage space. So first off, initial thoughts. We were talking about if there is even going to be a PS5 Pro the other day. This seems to indicate
Uh-huh.
there is. So,
And we're right. So someone owes us a pizza.
yeah, I don't know who that is, but feel free to deliver it.
What does it mean? What's in the box? I'm excited. I'm excited. This PS5 is more terafloppy than the last one,
I know.
but it's all about what are you going to do with all that technology? What are you going to make happen? So I'm excited that we have more hardware, but the questions that I know my casual gamers and even my hardcore gamers always ask is how does this affect the price of the console? Is the cost of the console going down? And what kind of games actually are we going to get out of it? What new shiny things can this console do that the regular PS5, the garden variety PS5 can't do?
Mm-hmm.
And I know the questions my devs always ask is how easy is it actually to build on? How accessible are these dev kits? How easy is it to put something on this platform? And I'm always excited by new technology if it allows us to be more creative and do more interesting things. But without seeing, what we can build with it, I don't know enough about the technology to get really excited about it. But maybe you are. How do you feel about what this can do for devs?
Uh, all right. Well, we can dig into that. So, first of all, I think this more or less confirms that we're going to probably have a PS5 Pro this year. I think that the fact that these specs are being sort of circulated indicates to me that it's on the horizon. A couple things off the top of my head. First of all, the fact that there's no CPU increase. 10% through a high frequency mode. I'm just like, eh. There was a great breakdown of these specs that Digital Foundry did. Maybe I'll link that if I can remember in the description on YouTube for folks. But they were thinking, first of all, it's sort of a disappointment that the CPU is not increased because there, interestingly enough, are a lot of games lately that have been CPU kind of limited and not GPU limited. And so I think that's one of the. A GPU can only take you so far if the game is CPU limited, and the big one that they talked about was Baldur's Gate 3, which is are the hosts father and son? No, we are not father and son.
Are you my father, Chris?
Yeah, I'm wondering which one's the father and which one's the
Yeah.
son.
I don't know if I want to know.
However, pumpkin, geez, the increase in the GPU is great. Maybe we'll start to get some more interesting ray tracing stuff, even though that can again get locked by the CPU. So I'm just wondering if this is one of those times. Sony PlayStation is they're a very conservative company, and I mean sort of like business conservative, not political. Like they run like a sort of standard, maybe a little bit looser than a standard Japanese corporation. And so, obviously they want to keep their prices down and whatnot, but it would have been nice to see a little bit of a bump to the CPU. Digital Foundry thought that this all might have been a result of wattage and trying to keep the power consumption within this range. And if they change the CPU too much, it would go outside of that range. So maybe that's the case. I don't know. But I'm a big tech guy. I don't spend a lot of money on stuff, but I do buy tech. And so I have a nice TV over there, which, fun fact, I can tell you a little story about that later if you want. And then I went from the PS4 to the PS4 Pro, got the PS5. I'll probably get the PS5 Pro, even though it doesn't seem like it's that big of a difference just looking at the specs. But, what about this AI stuff? What about the PlayStation, whatever they call it, the PSSSF or whatever?
This rolls right off the tongue. I love it.
Yeah, because I think for me, if they can get something that has 4K resolution with 60 FPS as a base, with maybe a little bit. I'm not the biggest, like, I don't really care that much about ray tracing. I think it looks cool, but it doesn't rock my noodle, as it were. I would rather have, I could just consistently have 4K with 60 FPS. Then I think that would be good. And the last thing I found kind of interesting is the PS5 has a detachable disk drive, which indicates to me that the PS5 Pro is not going to come with a disc in box. That's what that indicates to me. What do you think of that?
That makes sense to me because as much as I love discs, I might be one of the last ones. I think most folks are transitioning to digital, and I think in a competitive console market where we're trying to put more hardware into the box and we're trying to still lower costs, I think that's an easy way to do it. I think if you pull the disk drive out of it and go digital only, give folks the opportunity to upgrade that hardware later, it's a lot easier to plug an external disk drive into a PS5 than it would be to have an external GPU or CPU. So I think that's a great cost-cutting measure on their end, and I'm sure that's the balance, is they're trying to find ways to stop bottlenecking either from the GPU or the CPU, and they're also trying to cut their costs to make it as affordable for everybody. Maybe offer an opportunity for upgrades down the line.
So on that range, you talked about the price. Do you think it's going to come in at the current $500 price point?
I think it probably will because I don't think that most folks are going to feel that extra technology uh, if they jumped the price $100. And it seems like so far they've kept their prices the same with their slim versions, even though they have, I think their slim versions, they reduced them maybe 30% by size, but prices are still holding. Uh, with similar hard drive spaces. But from the folks that I talk to, as much as a little extra CPU boosting might be helpful, I think the advances that most people want is they want their consoles to look good on their 4K TVs that everyone has at home. They always want to boost that frame rate past 60 frames a second. And I think that a practical thing that more people would like to see in a console upgrade is larger hard drive spaces. We've seen this kind of ceiling on 1 terabyte hard drives for most of these consoles with the ability to upgrade. And it's always surprised me we haven't seen a larger storage option, especially in this digital space. Where's the 5 terabyte version or the 10 terabyte version? I know we're not going to see that in NVMe, but I think that would actually affect a lot of folks because and anytime I try playing something with a friend of mine, they always have to delete
Yeah,
2 games before
I was
they
gonna say
download a new one.
you're not going to get a 5 terabyte hard drive, so just
Oh,
you can
no.
have that in
I can dream,
yeah,
Chris. I
in
can
Dream
dream.
World you can have that.
Mhm.
I do have the PS5, and I got a 1 terabyte. Did I get a 1 terabyte? I think it's a 1 terabyte internal SSD that I stuck in there. Um, and I so the current PS5 comes with, it was like 860 gigs at launch or whatever. So going up to 1 terabyte is a nice, and that's before the OS and stuff is taken into
Mm.
account.
Well, I
So
just like to see a terabyte be a terabyte for once.
well, yeah, well, again, Dreamland is waiting for you this evening. Uh, yeah, I feel like this is definitely what this leads me to believe is that they are going to throw this in this year, and that we are probably going to see the PS6 in 2026. I think we're going to get maybe a 2 year of the PS Pro. If they want to be aggressive, maybe 2025. But this just doesn't seem like a machine that's going to carry us for the next 4 years, right?
Mhm.
Um, hey, pumps. This is something that's going to like help, like you said, get people to that 4K resolution, 60 FPS consistently, or at least more consistently. Um, our fan from the chat says you're my daddy, so we'll keep that in mind.
Good
Um,
to know.
yeah, but apparently we're both roughly the same age. I think we're 3 years different.
Mm.
So I don't know, man. You were hitting it young, as they say. Uh, Getting pumpkin butt now. Yeah, I'll probably end up buying it. You say you do not have a PS5, right? So is this going to
I
incentivize you
do,
to?
as a matter of
Oh,
fact.
you do have a PS5. Okay.
I do. Um, is it going to incentivize me? It's
Okay.
a hard thing
Let's say
because I think
it's
about
$500. Let's say it stays the $500 price point.
it's $500. Um, I mean, I think that's a fantastic value. I mean, gaming PCs are getting cheaper all the time, but good GPUs are always hard to find. So I think when you're looking at whether do you build a PC or do you go console, I think that in terms of playing current and potentially next gen titles, consoles are the best value option to get something that consistently runs without tweaking in your living room. So I think I think that PS5 definitely and Xbox Series X definitely have a market of folks who want to play something, they want to play it in their living room, they want to play it now, and they want it to be available. Which during the pandemic, PC parts were very hard to come by.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to see PS5s actually available. I've known a lot of folks in my circle who have been looking for PS5s and haven't been able to find them. But I think we're at a point where I walked into a Target last week and saw some sitting there.
Yeah,
So
I have
without
two.
ordering them special or going after them, if they're in stores, I think we're at that point where people actually have them. But to me, that makes it feel like this console cycle is just that much shorter, even though we've been here. Um,
We'll be here 4 years in November.
4 years since launch. It doesn't feel that way because if I'm just seeing them in stores on a regular basis, I feel like we just got here. So it seems a little
Yeah,
premature to
totally.
me, but that's why I don't work at Sony.
Yeah, I feel like we're gonna have a 6 year console cycle this year. I think COVID threw a lot of stuff out in a weird way, and I think that the technology is moving. I mean, your PC? Do you have a PC built for gaming, or do you just have like a general use one?
I have both. I've got a laptop for when I'm mobile that's on the lighter business side of things for conferences, and then I do have a gaming rig at home that I built, and it's getting a little long in the tooth, so it's about time to upgrade.
What's the
Um,
what GPU do you have in there now?
I've got a 1080 Ti, so it's
Ooh,
time.
yeah, that's nice. Um,
Yeah, it's still running. It's my little engine that could. It's still running Helldivers, but it's not all the way there.
yeah, yeah. Who needs all those polygons, right? Um,
Ah,
yeah, it's sounding like that this GPU might be equivalent to like an NVIDIA 3070
hmm
ish. And that's still like kind of the current one. Obviously, we're in the 4000 series now, but if you're getting I think a 4080 is like $1,100 right now. So, it's that's a lot of money to spend on a GPU, right? Unless you're kind of like a
Oh yeah,
serious gamer. Um, and there's many serious gamers out there, but
it's a lot of money. I mean, even a 3080 Super is coming in at $1,000, and that's less than we might have expected, and that's the actual NVIDIA, OC.
mhm.
Um, but that's a lot of money. I mean, we can put on our old man hats and remember the days of $300 cards. In building rigs for $1,000. But it seems like the price point I see for a lot of custom built PCs is anywhere from 1,500 to 4 grand.
Yeah, I don't think. Man, what's going on with Mailchimp? Personally, I think that base of 1,500. Usually, you're like 2,000 to 2,200 to get like a pretty solid thing. So, all right. Well, let's move on. We'll see what we get here. This is one I'm not really sure about. This LinkedIn adds gaming to boost engagement. Um, Trust social networks, blah, 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 blah. The latest join the Microsoft-owned social platform is currently on top of the networking space. I hate LinkedIn. I think it's a garbage website. But
Oh,
providing job opportunities, professional knowledge sharing, and recruitment. Published media reports now suggest the company is working on adding gaming experience to the mix. So I don't know what that means. Do you think that LinkedIn needs gaming?
well, it sounds like LinkedIn needs something. If you're not a fan, Chris, how can they get your love? How
How
can we
can LinkedIn
synergize? Yeah.
by not sucking? I don't know. I just think
All right, LinkedIn, if you're listening, you have your orders. Stop the suckage.
I think it's just filled with nonsense. I constantly here. Let me look it up for fun while we're here.
This week on Chris and Ross discuss
Yeah,
LinkedIn.
and on Chris rants about
Why
something.
why why so much suck?
I
Um,
currently have 7 messages, 25 notifications that are new since the last time I checked, and just quickly scrolling through spam, 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 LinkedIn, spam, 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 spam. Here, what is this? Has
So
anything
maybe a
has
game
anything
couldn't
changed
hurt.
in your IT needs? Spam. It just seems like it's Facebook. It's like professional Facebook, but I don't know what value it's adding. Um, but maybe some people really love it. I don't know. Do you love it?
Do I love LinkedIn?
Well, let me ask:
I love Mountain Dew and chicken nuggets. That's what I
is
love.
LinkedIn a website that you go to other than just feeling obligated to on a professional kind of level to at least keep tabs on it
I
a
feel
little bit?
obligated to use all my social media, Chris. Somehow I'm at a point where, uh, in my firm marketing or in my business networking, it always seems that like there's never enough posting that needs to be done. I've had folks tell me I need to put out 2 articles a week. I need to have 50 engagements a day. I need something every hour. And that's all great in terms of cultivating a network, but I didn't become a lawyer to run a social media network. I became a lawyer to practice law, and sometimes that takes more time and demands more of my focus
Sure.
than engaging with social media platforms. I I see the value in all of the different platforms that we have right now, and there's just a group of people that I can only connect with via LinkedIn. They're not on TikTok, they're not on Twitter, they're not on Instagram. If they're on Facebook, I don't have their Facebook. So when folks reach out to me and they want to connect, they want to synergize, and they want to talk about upward
I want to
mobility streams,
synergize. Yeah.
that's the place where that happens. And so usually that means if I'm talking with in-house counsel at larger game studios, if I'm talking with big law, LinkedIn is one of those places where people have, just like a dating app, they can textualize their professional relationships on LinkedIn, and they keep their personal stuff on their dating apps, and they keep uh, their reels, their shorts, and their fun stuff on their other social media
Yeah.
channels. So it's all business
Do
on
you need
LinkedIn.
help growing your verticals, Ross? Do you need
Growing
somebody
my
do you
verticals,
need somebody to rub your verticals to help grow?
that's the that's the next step. That's the takeaway. Those are the action items for this talk. How can we synergize our verticals, uh,
Yeah.
to maximize our efficiencies?
Well, on that note, YouTuber Donkey's publishing company is releasing its first game on May 9th, which is Animal Well. This is from Engadget,
Go
Lawrence
Donkey.
Bonk. YouTube sensation, Donkey, aka Video Game Donkey, has added game publishing to his resume. He started a company called Big Mode last year, releasing his first title on May 9th. Animal Well is a side-scrolling Metroidvania platformer that will show up on the PS5, the Nintendo Switch, and PCs. There's a trailer absolutely oozing with retro gaming goodness.
Ooze.
So I'm pretty excited about this. Donkey is somebody that I have wanted to get to GDEX for years and years. I've reached out to him numerous times and unfortunately never gotten an email back. I'm sure he's incredibly busy, him and his wife. And so, it is what it is, but I would love to have them out to GDEX, and I also would love to engage with them more on what they're doing with Big Mode as we look at our publishing sort of end from the GDEX front. And so that's something that we're really excited about in the future as we think about those things. But yeah, Ross, what do you think? One, do you watch Donkey? Do you know who he is? And then two,
I do not know this donkey. You have to bring me into your donkey world, sir.
okay, well, I would suggest, I would
What's the
suggest,
best point of entry
I'm
for me to enhance my donkeyness?
that is a great thing. Have you played Last of Us Part 2 or God of War Ragnarok?
I sure have.
Okay, so both those videos by him are great. He's got two great Last of Us Part 2 videos. Um, I'm trying to see yeah, he's got, I mean, he's been posting for years and years. So, every so often, his Tekken ones are pretty fun. Every so often, he throws in a song that we haven't seen a song for a while. There's a video of the best pizza from every state. You could look at that one. But I think he does great stuff. I think he's one of the best sort of game critics. He doesn't call himself a game critic, doesn't refer to himself as such, but he is somebody that looks at games, analyzes games, plays a lot of games, and also goes back and relooks at stuff. So, The Last of Us was a game, for example, that he wasn't super big on when he first played it. And then he went back later and played it again. And then he was just like, okay. He started to sort of see what the fuss was about. And so sort of seeing him over time kind of grow into this, I think, thoughtful, I don't know, advocate slash pioneer of the gaming space. But what do you think? I guess the big question I have is seeing new, younger, fresh publishers in the field.
Please, by all means. I think a job of a publisher is accessibility. I want them to put more cool stuff in front of people and streamline that process to make it easier for developers to make their stuff. For all my clients, the thing they're always looking for, all these devs, they want to get seen. They want to get their game out there. They want it to get marketed. They want it to be enjoyed by other people. And they have spent a career, a lifetime building skills to create content. And that is a completely different skill set from marketing content, from selling content, from putting it out there in front of people. So if there are young, fresh, hip, cool publishers out there who understand demographics of what people want and how they want to engage with content, my hope is that they do that. I want them to put more cool stuff out in front of people who want it. So yay, more publishers, more visibility.
Nice. Yeah, and I don't know about any of the publishing deals or rules or anything that they've established in the agreement, but he strikes me as somebody who's he's doing it because he loves games and he loves the industry. He has a lot of experience with them, and he also has a big audience that loves him, and so that alone is a great marketing tool for your first exposure. I think he's got here 7.5 million subscribers on YouTube, 846 videos, and so that's a lot, and that's a great thing. And I'm sure, or at least I'm holding hope that if he didn't feel like the game is ready, that they wouldn't release it, right? Particularly since it's his first one. So I don't know how much control he has over that. But I imagine that they would listen to him if he's like, hey, this game's not ready, right? Give it 2 more weeks, 4 more weeks, whatever it needs. So yeah, I'm excited to see how this works out. I hope it works out well for him. I'm sure it will. But having new, authentic honest faces in the publishing space, this is no surprise to anybody, but the publishing and investing world is full with just a bunch of shitbags that are just trying to rake you over the coals. And particularly publishers, I have worked with publishers in the video game and the board game space, and unless you're a big name of some kind, you just do not have any leverage in these negotiations, and they will give you some raw deals sometimes. I think for my board game, I made like maybe $50 or something. It was something ridiculous. And they just I did not feel like they gave the game the proper attention and time that it deserved. So it's hard. But I think that Donkey is someone who will spend time to do this well. One of our comments here is, yay, smaller publishers, but the one of note is smaller publishers who don't want to be bought by bigger ones. I don't think that Donkey needs to sell big mode to anybody, right? Like, he can just keep doing his thing, living his life, enjoying his family. He does not need to be EA or whatever, and probably doesn't want to be. Yeah. Very, very interesting stuff. You got 846 videos to get caught up on. So,
all right, I've got homework for next week. There you go.
Get to work, man. Get to work.
All right. I have to see what this pizza video is all about. We have to see what he has to say about my native Illinois.
Yeah, totally. All right. So then the last thing, this is sort of our main thing, but This is about digital cheating. We can just talk about this real quickly as I pull. If my internet is working, am I working? Where am I? Are we alive?
Who
All
am
right.
I? Who are you?
Oh, that's the wrong link. Wrong link.
Hi, Rooster Teeth.
Link. Yes. Do I have?
Rest in peace, Ruby.
I may not have the right link. All right. Well, we'll do.
Do you have the left link?
I don't know. I just don't know anymore. Also, this has nothing to do with anything, but we totally missed the Mario Day call out. It was Mario Day the other week on March the 10th, and we totally missed it. How did we?
When's it going to be Sonic Day, Chris? All
Did we
right,
just
I've heard
lose our
about
street
Mario
cred?
Day. When's Sonic Day? Did we lose our street cred? Did we ever have street cred? How could we lose it if we never had it? We need to
That's a
find
good
it.
thing.
That's the answer. Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, I don't have the link right now. I don't know where it went. We'll find it later. So, what else is going on, Ross? How's the world treating you? I feel like this is the first week we have not had to talk about layoffs, so that's something.
That is true. This is the week of hope, Chris. I think everyone's at GDC hoping to find that next gig, and I'm excited to hear good conversations from folks that are there. I always know when things are happening on the West Coast because I get emails at 4 a.m. here in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
So that's always exciting. But I think, what am I the most excited about for GDC? One of the questions that I get, it actually has nothing to do with with the conference per se, is just that people want to know who are attending GDC, how do I get the most out of this experience in San Francisco? And my answer is rarely to go to a panel talk or go to one of the official networking mixers. It's actually to get out in the city and do stuff with people you find. Hang out in the gardens and meet someone at Moscone Center, and then find your way into San Francisco and go do some sightseeing, go actually see the city you're in, because I've just found from a networking perspective, you make better friendships and develop better connections when you're talking with people in a more natural, organic kind of context. So if you're riding a streetcar, getting a sourdough bread bowl, or going to check out Alcatraz, or one of the infinitely cool things in that town,
Yeah,
you're going to get inspired by things you see and make cooler stuff.
There's that cool arcade that's down by the pier. I forget what that's called. But that's
the Musée de Mécanique is a vintage arcade.
Yeah.
And when I say vintage, I don't mean 80s kids. I mean like 1920s. So we're talking nickel penny shows.
Yeah.
And it's very cool to see some things there. There were a couple games there that I thought actually had really good mechanics that might be due for a reboot. We're rebooting everything from the 80s, Chris. Let's go reboot the 1880s. Let's go see what's going out there.
Yeah. It definitely, I miss those like sort of clunky coin operated machines with like the engineered mechanics. Those were real cool. Yeah, I agree. I've said this before. I think I said it last week when I was debating going to GDC. But when I do GDC, when I do PAX, when I do these conventions, I should be attending MDev this year, and I know you do MDev every year.
Okay.
I don't go to the talks. I don't go to the sessions. I don't go to sit down. Maybe I just don't need to learn anything. I know everything there is to know. But I want to spend time connecting with people and meeting people and trying out games and just sort of networking and walking around. I just don't want to spend 8 hours sitting in a classroom, which I realize like some people, they do want to do that. They do want to learn. That's totally fine. I mean, GDEX, we had like 85 sessions last year for talks and workshops and seminars and stuff. So I'm not bashing that. I'm just saying me personally.
Sure.
I like to go and do coffee or lunches with people. Go grab a drink at, when you and I are at GDEX, I'll grab you and be like, hey, you want to go grab lunch, or you want to go grab a drink at the North Market? And we'll just go for an hour and kind of sit and chat. That's just how you keep building those relationships. Obviously we go and do after hours stuff. We haven't done our dance party in a few years. I don't know if we'll bring that back or not. I do miss it. But in exchange for not doing the dance party, we've gone to the underground, bootleg place under the pizza place, and so we find ways to fill our time.
Mhm. That's always the most value I get out of any convention is trying to balance all of those things. So I don't want to hate on panel tracks or show floors either, because that's where everybody gets to showcase their stuff. So that's usually just my point of entry, though. That's usually where I meet people, and then I don't want to have a meaningful conversation with someone on a show floor at a convention. I want to say like, hey, a group of us are going to get coffee, we're going to get lunch, we're going to check out this cool thing that's happening nearby. And Columbus has all those things. There's always a cool street fest nearby, or the North Market, as you mentioned, that has fantastic food across the street from the convention center. Uh, all of that is just the next step. It's just meeting people and having meaningful interactions, which is what it's all about.
Yep, build those networks, have fun. Uh, One of the things at GDEX I look forward to so much is when we go to Denmark. I really love Denmark, but that place is so friggin' loud, and like I'm debating emailing the owners and just being like, "Hey, we love Denmark because it's got those big windows and you can sit and watch sort of the GDEX people come in and out and everything." But it's all like wood and metal ceiling, and so it just gets super loud. And I feel like they need to put in some foam or something to deaden the noise, because it's rough. But yeah, I for me that's what I get out of going to conventions. So I hope everybody at GDC is having a great time, making some good connections, and I hope to see them next year. Maybe Ross, maybe you and I, maybe I'll go pop up to Chicago for a day, and then we can go from Chicago to San Fran. Or
You better, man. Let's that it's the 20-year. No, it's not. It's not the 20-year anniversary. I'm stopping myself. It is an anniversary. It is a birthday, but it's not 20 years. The California Zephyr, the train that goes from Chicago to San Francisco, had a birthday this week. So a very easy way to get from Chicago to San Francisco is taking the train.
do they
and you
still
get to
do
see
Train
some
Jam? Is that a
amazing
thing?
Train Jam. Was kind of put to bed before the pandemic and has not come back yet, but we are all eagerly anticipating. Ariel, if you're watching this, please bring Train Jam back. It's one of our favorite things. We love it to death.
Should
And
we
for those
should
in the
we look at
chat who may
creating a
not
Train Jam?
know, we might have to do something on that regard. But for those in the chat who don't know, Train Jam was a game jam uh, in advance of GDC that takes place on the Amtrak on the way to San Francisco from Chicago. So it's a several-day game jam on the train. It's one of the coolest things ever, and I hope it comes back soon.
Yeah. Well, maybe that's something we'll think about offline here. I'm sure that's a tremendous amount of effort, knowing how much it is to do GDEX. At least GDEX is in one space and it doesn't move anywhere.
Hmm.
All right. Well, I think that's a good place for us to wrap up, unless you got anything exciting you want to talk about on this beautiful March 20th.
Well,
Mario
apparently I have to go
Day.
check out the Sonic the Hedgehog channel on my Samsung TV. I'm reading in the chat that there are more blue hedgehogs out there I haven't found yet, so I have to go check that out.
Yeah, the Blue Hog group. Um, Definitely watch. There's a lot of great donkeys out there, so watch them. Just start from the first one and work your way up. You'll be fine.
All right, when we meet next, I'll be able to weigh in on all things Donkey.
Yeah. Sweet. Well, everybody, thank you for watching and commenting on the chat. This has been episode 15 of the Sandbox.Space weekly podcast, where we discuss video games and the games industry. You can find us at thesandbox.space. Also, we post these videos up on YouTube through the GDEX YouTube, so you can check them out there if you want to watch them, or if you missed anything. And then, of course, we have the GDEX.com. So we've got our spring sale going on for GDEX tickets. So thegdx.com. Make sure you put the in there. But we have our discounted tickets until the end of March. So we are 11 days away. So make sure that you grab those if you're interested in coming to GDEX. You can get your discounted tickets. We are also accepting exhibitors and speaker applications. So if you want to showcase at the show, it is in beautiful Columbus, Ohio, in fall, October 24th through the 27th. We attract people from all over the country, and it's a great show, if I do say so myself. But again, this has been the Sandbox.Space weekly podcast. I am your host, Chris, joined as always by Ross. Pumpkin finally calmed down, and baby is over there taking a nap. So, Ross, thank you again for being on the show. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I hope your week goes well. And for everybody at GDC, have a wonderful convention. And we'll see you all when we get back. So next week on Wednesdays, 10 a.m. Eastern on the Twitches. If you're aware of that, you may have heard of that, Ross.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. We will see you all next week. Thank you so much. Take care.